Hello students, welcome back. Myself Pushpendra Singh and we are going to start with our daily current affairs. So today you have 23rd of March 2021. All right. And we are going to start with our current affairs lectures. So as you know that if you are preparing for the civil services examination conducted by the UPSC or any other government competitive examination, you're required to answer the few questions related to the current affairs. All right. So for that, you have to study your national newspaper. That is the most preferable newspaper is the Hindu, or you can also study the Indian Express also. Both of these newspapers are equally good. You can refer any of these newspaper. Okay. And you can subscribe our channel also on the YouTube where you will get the daily current affairs. Then you can supplement your preparation. Okay. So let's begin with the lecture. Okay, so first news is basically coming related to the Covishield. See, Covishield is basically a vaccine which is being administered to the people, right? Basically to the general public. As you know that the pandemic, Corona or COVID-19 is basically, engulfing almost all of the countries in the world. Okay, so the Covishield is nothing but it is basically the Indian version of the vaccine which was developed by the AstraZeneca, which was in the collaboration with the University of Oxford. So this Covishield vaccine is basically developed by or is being manufactured by the Serum Institute of India's. Okay, now this Covishield vaccine is basically administered to the people since January this year. Now what is happening is that there is supposed to be 2 doses for this vaccine to be administered to the people. Okay, various experts group, medical experts group is basically asking the government officials to increase the gap between these 2 doses. Okay, so the gap between the first and 2 dose, if it is being increased to 8 weeks, okay, that will be giving more benefit in terms of giving more efficacy. So if we increase the duration between or the gap between the 2 doses, that would definitely increase the efficacy of the Covishield, which is a vaccine for COVID-19. Okay, so in that perspective, the government has decided to increase the interval between the first and the second doses of Covishield, okay, up to 8 weeks, okay, which will be conducted in the ongoing vaccination drive. Okay, so Covishield is nothing but the Serum Institutes of India's version of AZD 1222, which is a vaccine which was developed by AstraZeneca in the collaboration with the University of Oxford. Okay, some data from different countries basically also coming out regarding this, the trial which was AZD 122, which suggests that if the duration between the first 2 doses increases to up to 12 weeks, okay, that will be more effectively, or that efficacy of that particular dose or particular vaccine would be much more. Okay, so here so Union Health Ministry basically decided to increase the gap between the 2 doses to the 8 weeks. Okay, the Union Health Ministry and the Family Welfare basically took this decision based on the recommendation of the two experts group. Okay, the first one is basically the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization, and the second is National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID-19. Okay, based on the recommendations of these two groups, the Union Health Ministry decided to increase the gap between the 2 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, that is Covishield. Okay, now these groups basically have gone through the scientific evidence which is available from the clinical trials of different countries basically, which is being conducted. Okay, and ultimately concluded that the gap between the 2 doses would definitely enhance the efficacy of the vaccine if the second dose is administered between the 6 to 8 weeks. So that is the case, that if the gap between the 2 doses increases, the efficacy of the vaccine would be increased. Okay, here you have the data. So in India we have the two vaccines, one is Covishield and the second is Covaxin. Okay, so in India, out of 100%, so this is 100% vaccine which was administered up to March 20, so that is January 16 2021 to March 20 2021. Okay, so you have seen here the Covishield basically administered, right? That is not 100% population, but that is out of 100% the people which receive this vaccine. Okay, so the Covishield is administered to the 92.1 percentage of the people who has administered the vaccine. Okay, and the remaining 7.9% only, or 7.9% people is basically administered the Covaxin. So the Covishield is basically administered, right? It is the most used vaccine in India, okay, which is administered to almost 92.1 percentage of total vaccinated people between January 16 and March 20. Okay, next, the National Film Award. Okay, as you know that because of Corona, the National Film Award, or the declaration or announcement of the winners for the 2019 was basically delayed. Okay, so the jury of the 67th National Film Award was announced. Okay, the winners for for the year 2019. Okay, that award was delayed because of the Corona pandemic. Okay, and this award is basically given to the best director, right? And the best film, best actor, best actress. Okay, and the best city which is being is basically more friendly to the film. Okay, so here the Priyadarshans, the Marakkar Arabic Kandilanite Simmam, right, is basically chosen as a best feature film. Okay, and the Sanjay Puran Singh Chauhan is basically chosen for the best director award for the Hindi film, that is Bhattar Hurain, right, at the 67th National Film Awards. Apart from that, the movie which is known as the Marakkar Arabic Kandiline Simmam, which is known as, or which is otherwise in the English word, is The Loin of Arabian Sea. It is the movie which was chosen as a best featured film in the 67th National Film Award. Okay, it is nothing but a drama in the 16th century. Okay, which is basically a Malayali naval chieftain who is basically on the source of your Kerala, who fought, right, the Portuguese who basically invaded the Kerala basically coast. So it is basically a drama, or it is basically a film which is featuring that the Malayali naval chieftain who fought with those Portuguese invaders. Okay, the best actor award goes to the Manoj Bajpayee and Dhanush. Okay, both have shared this best actor award. Okay, regarding Manoj Bajpayee, he was selected for his best performance as a retired police constable in the Bhosle. Okay, and the Dhanush, who is an actor, or who is South Indian actor, have won. Okay, his performance in the drama called Asuran. So he was basically known for his best acting or best emotions in the Batteryman's multi-layer revenge drama, that is Asuran. Okay, best actress award goes to the Kangana Ranaut, who have performed well in Manikarnika, the Queen of Jhansi, and Panga. Okay, and regarding the state, the Sikkim has bagged the award for the most film friendly state in the country. Okay, so these awards was basically given during 67th Filmfare Award, or 67 National Film Awards, in which the best film, best director, the best actor, the best actress, and the most film friendly state is basically being awarded during this facilitation ceremony of the National Film Awards. Okay, so he is Manoj Bajpayee, Kangana Ranaut, okay, and Dhanush. Okay, next, the Gandhi Peace Prize. Okay, so Gandhi Peace Prize for 2019 and 2020 was announced. Okay, 2019 was announced this year itself because it was delayed because of Corona. So 2019 and 20 both prizes have been announced by the government of India. So this year the 2019 prize okay, or Gandhi Peace Prize for 2019 is being conferred on the late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said Al Said of Oman. Okay, the Sultan Qaboos, basically a visionary leader, okay, of Oman, and who has the twin policy, of moderation and mediation. Okay, so this twin policy of moderation and the mediation has famed the Sultan Qaboos for addressing various international issues. Okay, and that is the reason, right, he has won, the praise and the respect across the world. And moreover, he has also supported the peace effort in the various regional disputes and the conflicts. Okay, and you must also understand, under his leadership, the India and the Oman become the strategic partner. Okay, and that has led to the mutually beneficial and the comprehensive partnership between the India and the Oman. Okay, even Prime Minister Narendra Modi have recalled the contribution which was made by the Sultan Qaboos, right, as a true friend of India. Okay, that has provided the strong leadership, okay, for the region. So the strengthening of the relationship between India and Oman, right, his effort have been recognized by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi itself. Okay, and for the year 2020, the Gandhi Peace Prize has gone to the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Okay, now the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was basically champion of, okay, he basically champion of the human rights, okay, and freedom in Bangladesh. Okay, and he was hero obviously to the people of the Bangladesh. Okay, and because of his contribution, right, he has led the strong foundation for the partnership, progress, and the prosperity for the both the countries, India and the Bangladesh. Okay, as the Bangladesh basically celebrate the Mujib War Show, right, in the basically as remembrance to the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Okay, the Gandhi Peace Prize basically recognize the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's contribution specifically for the human rights, as well as he is also inspiring a leader for the liberation of the Bangladesh, right? And also he has brought the stability to the nation, which was obviously, you have known that in 1971, which was born out of strife, right? The laying of the close foundation, strong foundation between India and the Bangladesh, and obviously promoting peace and non-violence in the Indian subcontinent. So the both of these leaders have been chosen for this Gandhi Peace Prize. Okay, important information. The Gandhi Peace Prize is basically an annual award which was instituted by the government of India since 1995. Okay, and it was constituted or instituted, right, on the 125th birth anniversary commemoration of the Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, and this award is open to all persons regardless of nationality, regardless of race, language, caste, creed, or sex. Okay, and the jury who basically give this award, okay, or Gandhi Peace Prize, right, is basically chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Okay, it also has the two ex officio members, right? The two ex officio members are basically the Chief Justice of India. Okay, and the second one is basically the leader of largest single opposition party in the Lok Sabha. Okay, so it has basically the 3-member jury which is being chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. Okay, and the 2 eminent members are also part of this jury, right? This year, the Sri Om Birla, who is basically Speaker of the Lok Sabha, right, is basically from Rajasthan, also a part of the jury, and Sri Brindeshwar Pathak, who is also the founder of Sulabh International Social Service Organization. You have seen the Sulabh Shauchalaya. Okay, so the Brindeshwar Pathak was also the member of jury. Okay, this award or Gandhi Peace Prize basically have or carries 1 crore of the award, a citation, a plaque, as well as, you know, a traditional handicraft handloom items will be given to the winners. Okay, so he is basically Bang Bandhu Sheikh Mujir Rahman, and he is basically the Sultan Qaboos of Oman. Okay, next, the draft plan for the district wise export promotion. As you know that the India's, you know, foreign trade constitute around 45% of India's GDP. Okay, now the government of India's push, or government of India is basically pushing, right, to formulate a plan, that is the district wise export promotion plan. Okay, for promoting the exports related to the goods and the services from the district wise. Okay, so identify those items, those goods and the services, right, for which the district is known, and then ultimately after identifying, promoting that particular district, right, so to increase the share of the export of the particular goods and the services from the particular district. So the government has readied the draft district wide export promotion plan. Okay, so in that plan, 451 districts in the country will be identified, okay, related to the goods, related to the products and the services, okay, with the export potential in the 725 districts, as the Commerce Secretary has informed. Okay, now the government of India is basically aiming the double-digit export growth from these 500 districts, or around 500 districts, over 3 to 5 years. Okay, and the Commerce Ministry or Union Commerce Ministry has asked the states to prepare the annual export ranking index. This annual export ranking index would be covering the districts. So this annual export ranking index would be, you know, framed, or would be formulated, or will be prepared on the district wise, right, regarding their export competitiveness. Okay, and that will be obviously, you know, this index would be formed with the assistance of the Director General of Foreign Trade, right? And India's foreign trade constitute around 45% of India GDP. Okay, and you know, mostly this export promotion is basically driven by the center. So the center want the state should also be participating in basically in the promotion of, you know, the export potential from the district wise. Okay, you know, the district wise approach which is being, you know, formulated by the Union Commerce Ministry is basically involving the states to identify the potential export sectors. Okay, right, the sectors which are having the potential of increasing, you know, the exports of the products and the services from particular district, as well as the logistic bottlenecks. As you know that the logistics are not efficient enough in the districts, not better connectivity, not better transportational facilities. Okay, you know, all such facilities, all such bottlenecks has led to, you know, the decrease in terms of the efficiency of, you know, the export potential of a particular district. So that will be taken care, okay, when the Prime Minister Narendra Modi pushed, right, that, you know, during his Independence Day address in 2019, that each district should have a particular plan, should aim for, you know, to becoming an export hub, right, and should increase its share in terms of the India's export potential. Okay, in the initial phase, obviously the products and the services, right, with a particular export potential in every district would be identified. So first is identification. Okay, what district have what potential, export potential, right, related to the products and the services. Okay, and simultaneously the institutional mechanism is important. Institutional mechanism means you have to create the institution for the promotion of this aspect. So how would you create? So that institution would be created at the state level as well as the district level. So at the state level, you would create the State Export Promotion Committee, that is called State Export Promotion Committee. At the district level, you will create the District Export Promotion Committee. Okay, the state level, you will create the State Export Promotion Committee. These committees would look into the you know, the annual plan, right, from every particular district, right, which can have, the aspect of identifying as well as the promotion of exports. Okay, so this district export promotion committees have been notified in the districts of all the states except West Bengal. Okay, so here the Commerce Ministry has asked the state to prepare the annual export ranking index, which will be covering the districts after identifying their export potential related products and services. Okay, the next is Ganga Quest. Okay, the Ganga Quest is nothing but an online quiz competition. Okay, it is an online quiz competition, right, which is basically organized by the National Mission for Clean Ganga as well as the Tree Craze Foundation. Okay, so this year or 2021, the Ganga Quest 2021 is being organized. Okay, so it is nothing but an international bilingual online quiz competition on the river Ganga. So it is bilingual. That means the competition would be held in the Hindi as well as in English. Regarding its its organization, first of all, it is being organized by the National Mission for the Clean Ganga, which is an authority under Government of India. This National Mission for the Clean Ganga also implement the Namami Gange program in India. Okay, and the second organizational authority is Tree Craze Foundation, which is nothing but a non-profit organization. Okay, which is a non-profit organization which is committed to to upliftment of the rivers Ganga and its surrounding environment. Okay, so this online quest or online quiz competition was basically conceptualized in 2019. It has been annual competition which has been organized at online platform every year. Okay, so it is Ganga Quest 2021. Okay, next, the United Nations Office for the Project Services, that is called UNOPS. So first of all, before going into the details of the news, let's understand what is this United Nations Office for the Project Services. So first of all, you must understand the UNOPS is nothing but is an operational arm. It is an operational arm, okay, of the United Nations. Okay, now what is this operational arm? That means it is dedicated to implementing the projects for the United Nations system. Okay, right, as well as for international financial institutions, governments, as well as other partners around the world. Okay, so the news which is basically flashing regarding this UNOPS is that the UNOPS or United Nations Office for the Project Services entered into a partnership with the government of Denmark, right? This partnership between UNOPS as well as the government of Denmark would support the Indian government's flagship program, which is Jal Jeevan Mission, which provides or which aims at providing the household tap connectivity of the water, right, to 100% household by 2024. So that will basically help in the government of India's mission or flagship program Jal Jeevan Mission, specifically in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so this partnership between the government of Denmark and UNOPS is provide the strategic technical support to the Jal Jeevan Mission, right, which is being implemented by the government of India, and specifically it will be helpful in the Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so the UNOPS will be focusing on the instituting the scalable delivery models, right, specifically in the 11 water scarce districts. These 11 water scarce districts are basically in the Uttar Pradesh, in the Bundelkhand, as well as in the Vindhyan region. Okay, so some of the important aspects of Jal Jeevan Mission is basically aiming at providing the functional household tap, okay, connection to every rural household by 2024. And this goal of Jal Jeevan Mission is also coincide with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 6. Okay, next, the Buldhana pattern for water conservation. Okay, so the Ministry of Jal Shakti informed the Rajya Sabha about the Buldhana pattern for the water conservation. Okay, so it has deduced this model of Buldhana pattern that you can basically also use this pattern for water conservation. So The Niti Aayog basically, prepared a draft guidelines for convergence of various activities, right? For example, first is the sourcing of earth for improvement, construction of national highways, state roads, and the railways. Apart from that, the water conservation works would be carried out through the desiltation. That means you have to remove the excess silt from, from basically the bottom of a channel, or you will deepen the water body so that it can have more capacity. Okay, and it can be sediment free. So these twofold activities can be already successfully implemented as a pilot product, right, in the Buldhana district of Maharashtra. So the Buldhana pattern of the water conservation can be introduced, right, in those states or districts where the similar type of environment exists. Okay, next, the Bill Nelson. Okay, so Bill Nelson is basically an astronaut, first of all. Okay, he is also the retired senator. Okay, senator means he was basically having the membership of Senate. The Senate is nothing but basically the upper house, of the Congress. Congress means the legislature of the USA. So he was the retired senator, or he was basically the former senator, right? So the news related to the Bill Nelson is that the new US President Joe Biden have nominated the former senator Bill Nelson to the 14th NASA administrator. That means the Nelson would be the NASA's chief executive officer. Okay, and the Bill Nelson would be directly accountable to the President Biden. So he will directly report to the President Biden. Okay, and regarding the functions of the chief executive officer or the administrator, so he will basically articulate the space agency's vision. That means the NASA's vision. Okay, he would also set the programmatic and the budget priorities related to the NASA. He would also set the internal policies and also assess the NASA's performance in the coming year. Okay, as he was the astronaut, he flew right in the space shuttle Columbia as a payload specialist on STS-61C mission in 1986, and subsequently he was basically chosen as a senator, right, specifically in the Congress of USA. Okay, as you know that the Bhavya Lal, right, was also chosen last month as the NASA appointed the Indian American Bhavya Lal as the acting agency chief of the staff. Okay, the Lal was previously also served the member of the Biden Presidential Transition Agency review team. Okay, for the agency. Okay, which will oversee the agency's transition under the administration of the President Joe Biden. Okay. Next, the World Summit on Information Society Forum 2021. Okay, now this is basically a World Summit, right? First of all, right, which will be focusing on the information or ICT for the development community. Okay, so why this World Summit on the Information Society Forum is in the news? It is a platform. It is the news because the Union Telecom Minister Sanjay Dhotre would represent India at the World Summit on Information Society Forum 2021. Okay, so now the World Summit on Information Society Forum 2021, right, represents the world largest annual gathering, right, for basically for ICT or information and communication technology, for basically the development of society, right. This World Summit on Information Society Forum is being organized by the International Telecommunication Union or ITU, the UNESCO, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, and UNCTAD, right? All these organizations basically organized or co-organized this World Summit. Okay. As you know that the telecom minister mentioned, right, that the India's flagship program, that is BharatNet, has successfully connected 6 lakhs villages. Okay, so 6 lakhs villages under the BharatNet program was connected. Okay, through the optical fiber cable. So that is around 4 lakh kilometer length of the optical fiber cable have been laid, right? And these 6 lakh villages have been connected using the satellite communication services, right, under the BharatNet program. Okay. Next, our Andaman Nicobar Islands as well as the Lakshadweep group of islands are also being connected with the submarine cable networks, and also inaccessible, also the remote areas also being connected with the funding from the government of India. The government of India also established the ITU, right, area office, as well as the innovation center in India, right, which will ultimately involvement of the SMEs, academias, startups in the region. Okay, that will be helpful in the development of technologies, solutions which are best suitable for the rural and the remote areas of the developing nations like India. Okay. Next, the ban on the bike rallies. As you know that the elections are due, the legislative assembly elections are due. Okay, specifically in the state of Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Pondicherry. Okay, now what is happening is that the bike rallies which is being conducted with the support of political parties basically intimidate the voters. Okay, some of the anti-social elements basically move on the bikes, and which basically intimidate the voters, force the voters to vote on the particular political parties. They create the fear psychosis in the mind of the voters. So what happens is the Election Commission of India ordered the ban on the bike rallies, right? That is for 72 hours before polling. So 72 hours before polling, right? There will not be any bike rallies in the polling area, right? Obviously, also on the day of voting itself, there will not be a bike rallies, specifically during election or legislative assembly election of Assam, Kerala, Pondicherry, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal legislative assembly elections. The Election Commission of India basically cited the reasons for such banning is the anti-social elements and these gundas basically rotate or they move on the bikes that will intimidate the voters, threaten the voters, and change the voting pattern also. Okay, now the Election Commission of India already wrote the chief electoral officers, okay, of these 4 states, as well as you have the Union Territory of Pondicherry regarding this ban on the bike rallies. Okay, and the Election Commission has decided this move of banning this bike rallies because because wherever the elections are held, the election should be held in free and fair, free, and with without any irregularities. And it was not the first time, during previous elections also, right, the ban was basically imposed. So this ban was imposed to conduct the free elections, okay, to conduct or to remove all sort of irregularities during the elections that may happen because of such antisocial elements which move, right, on the bikes related to during such legislative assembly elections. So to have the good environment related to the elections and to remove the fear from the mind of the voters, such steps have been taken by the Election Commission of India. Okay, so you can see here the basically the bike rallies which is being conducted. Okay, so that's all for the today. Thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow for our next current affairs class. Thank you.